Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast, My Hero Movie Academia edition. That is right. The time has finally come. The third My Hero Academia movie, World Heroes Mission, just came out on October 29th. And we both, me and Andrea, saw the movie. You're going to get our thoughts on it. And yeah, but first, the My Hero enthusiast, Andrea, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I am very excited to talk about the movie. I was super excited to see it. Now I'm very excited to talk to you about it since we did not get to see this anime movie together and discuss our similar or dissimilar thoughts right afterwards. So I am very excited to see how this conversation goes.
No, I was actually thinking about that too, because two things. One, our last, like My Heroes season 5 just ended on like our last podcast. So that was October 4th. And like seeing this movie, the first new anime-ish slash movie we have not seen together in a year. That's crazy real crazy to think about. But My Hero Academia, World Hero Mission, the third movie in the My Hero Academia anime. It already came out in Japan, like we told you guys months ago. August 6th came out today. And yeah, let's just get right. First off, Andrea, did you like the movie? How did you feel about the movie?
I very much enjoyed the movie. I really liked it. Scale 1 to 10, I'd probably put this movie around a 7, 8. And I feel like for some people that's going to be really low. But I really enjoyed this movie. I don't want to do like spoiler alerts. It was just for me watching this movie after the most recent anime movie that I watched, that I think we watched, was Mugen Train. And by comparison, like this one was a much more like you walked out of the theater like feeling good after this movie. Whereas Mugen Train, you were depressed.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I enjoyed the movie a lot. I would also give it an 8. There's a couple things I know we'll go down that we'll talk about, like what could have happened that I would have given it like a 10. But yeah, I mean, the last anime movie was Mugen Train, and obviously everyone knows like when Goku dies, because you get introduced to the character in the movie and you literally only get him for 2 hours and then he's gone. But my only thing with that is Demon Slayer is a significantly shorter anime than most. So
Right.
We're already hitting like the hard defs real early. While My Hero Academia, we just finished 5. We're literally, I think it was smart on them to not just go all sad in this movie, because we're literally getting the war is all of season 6.
Right.
And like we already know people we like. We don't know who yet because we're not reading the manga, trying to stay away from spoilers as much as possible. But we know heroes that we like, and they're gonna die, and some students are probably going to die too. So we're gonna have plenty of time once season 6 starts to be depressed. Like when Midoriya doesn't go reach out for one of his classmates and they get turned to dust by Shigaraki, like we'll get to those points. Which
very true.
That would be a very sad thing. So like some of the stuff, like it was almost 2 hours. I think it was like an hour 40 something minutes. And this movie was a big deal because if you went on the premiere day, you basically got a mini manga.
Yeah, you did. Oh my God. I was so hyped when they handed those over. It was like, wait, what?
Yeah, That's I was just
so
like,
sweet.
Same. I was just like, oh, this is a big deal. Like, oh, I was like, all right. So stuff about we'll go more into stuff in the movie, but like one of the first questions is, I know you're a fan of a lot of these characters. Who did you wish got more screen time?
I mean, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but I wish Todoroki would have gotten just a smidge more screen time. Only because, obviously Deku has his big fight. It's the fight of the movie. But then also Bakugo really has that really long struggle with, I'm forgetting their names, those twins that had the tail, like the blade tails that reminded me of Sasori from his pup, like the ugly crouched over puppet. The Serpenters in the book, it names them Serpenters. I felt like that fight got more airtime and it needed it, I felt like Todoroki's fight kind of got shortened just a smidge with Leviathan. I felt like they kind of rushed that ending just a little bit too much. I do wish some of the other students, just in general, in Class 1A might have gotten more time, but basically this movie was about, these top three budding heroes. So out of the three of them, I feel like Todoroki could have used just a little bit more.
I'm actually kind of shocked you said that because I was very proud of Shoto because for the first time, since season 2, he got a prominent one-on-one fight.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
I was super hyped for that point itself. Like, holy cow, Shoto Todoroki is getting a one-on-one screen time fight because the last one-on-one screen time fight he had was against the main character of the show, which you can't even count that. You were the fight against the main character. Like, so technically, if you take the Midoriya one out, this is the first time in 5 seasons Shoto has gotten a one-on-one fight and came out on top because I'm actually surprised you're not a little bit more happy because last time we saw Shoto fight, he embarrassed the Andrea household. So
yes, he did. So no. Like I really, he showed up. He did. I just felt like the conclusion of that fight was just rushed, just a little bit. Like it just felt a little too condensed for me. That it just needed like another sequence, like one more maybe 30-second minute sequence, and it would have, maybe it's just I don't want to say I wasn't paying attention because that's not true. Because like I was locked in, but it just seemed to kind of, I don't want to say end out of nowhere. It just kind of happened, and then he, I don't know. I Yeah, for that fight particularly, that's why I feel like he needed more screen time. However, in comparison, technically, in the normal kind of day to day, we'll call stuff of the movie, he actually has more speaking lines than Bakugo does, which is kind of surprising. And again, I enjoyed that. But for that fight, I really just wanted a little bit more.
So I guess for my screen time, I have two.
Mm-hmm.
This one is gonna. This is only from a premise thing because and since you went Shoto, I will say his dad, just for the fact that dude, you're the number one hero. What the heck were you doing? Like that, I was just like, you should be doing a little bit more. I thought he was gonna come swoop in, save his son at the end, but no, that didn't happen. But whatever.
Nah.
But the thing that got which wish I had more screen time because I was just so interested by it was early in the movie, which this is why I think I really like this movie because it was just mind blown. We found out there's a UN, like there's a United Nation hero, whatever. And I'm like, hold on. We've been in 5 seasons, never knew this existed. Like, I was like, okay, don't know who the commander was, but I'm like, so are you the person who calls everything? That was sweet because I was like, all right, now we're seeing more of the government. I wish we would have saw more of I know because it's focused on 3, but seeing them go to other countries across the world, that was fantastic. And there was a lot of new heroes where I wish this would get like the Mugen Train thing and make this into a whole season that I wish just got fleshed out because there's a lot of cool quirks. Like I didn't know like the blonde haired woman who was working with Endeavor's agency, never saw her, who was shooting the gun out. The villain who was shooting the female Green Arrows.
Oh my gosh, I love her.
She was top tier and she was only there for like the first 2 acts. She was amazing. Seeing the Cleopatra type hero, like that was like all the different things. Like I was just, maybe that's why I really liked it because it's like it showed the world more of heroes, not just the place we see in
just
My
the
Hero.
Japanese heroes. Yeah,
we saw everything, and that was That was amazing. And I really wish there was like a little more backstory of like, so who's in charge of this UN? Like, who is.
How do you get in charge of this UN? Is it run up by heroes? Is it not? Is it government officials? Are they pro hero? Are they not pro hero? Because then you get into kind of like the nitty gritty of the movie of if they're not necessarily pro heroes and just like politicians or lay persons. I mean, that could be an organization that gets infiltrated. Like spoiler,
Well,
sorry.
nope, that's no. I was thinking about that for season 6. Then, like, I was already thinking. So, who in the UN is in the Meta Liberation Army? Because that's a whole nut. Like, now that I know this exists, like, could you use your influence in the UN? Like, is it like the UN in the real world where you're voting on stuff like by country or by the top heroes? Like, there's just so many different like real world questions I had with that. I wish that would have been that was I was not expecting that, and I was just like, all right. So who
Mm-hmm.
so who do you wish had less screen time?
Less. I don't feel like there was anyone that screen time was wasted on. Like I don't
Yeah.
feel like I almost nope, I can't even say that. I was thinking Fleckturn for a second, but I'm like, he's the main villain, obviously, so we need him to have the screen time that he has. I
Yeah.
just personal opinion, I wish Deku's fight hadn't gone that long. I feel like the answer to that situation was so obvious that I'm like, Deku, you're smarter than this. Like you should have figured this out already. Like get on it. That last 5 minutes of the countdown lasted what 30 in the movie.
Well, that's an anime thing. I mean, when Goku fought Frieza on Namek the first time he went Super Saiyan, Namek was supposed to explode in 5 minutes, and they went like 20 more episodes. So it's that's an
Mm-hmm.
time. Time does not matter in anime. And he was kind
Yeah,
of having his hands full because the main villain was. I'm glad he's a movie villain because he was a serious problem.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
for sure.
but it was something else. But comparing it then to the previous My Hero movie, Heroes Rising,
Oh
how
my
do you feel
god.
about that?
Okay, so I don't think this movie is as good as Heroes Rising. And I think part of the reason for that is the music I feel like was much more impactful in Heroes Rising. In those key moments, I feel like I wasn't paying as much attention to it while I was sitting in the theater, but after I left, I realized like, wow, did I just blank or was there no like real powerful music for those final fights? Like where was that backing unless again I was too focused on the fighting or me being hung up on Todoroki needing a little bit more time in that fight. But I I really feel like Heroes Rising for me personally is a 9 out of 10 and I was also more emotionally gripped by Heroes Rising than uh what is it? World Heroes Mission.
World Heroes
This one.
Mission. So my thing with the music, which also the people next to me and a couple people down there, they were actually relieved that Might You song did not play because they felt like that's been getting overplayed in the big fight.
Mm.
So they were like, all right, finally, because they were like, oh, here comes Might You, like it did with Overhaul and that whole part. And then the whole that was played like multiple times during Heroes Rising. And they were actually like refreshed from that. But I get that. But I guess with this one, I think it's hard for me not to like for this. I think I do like this one a little bit more than Heroes Rising, just because I felt like to a point the people who like made this were listening to our podcast. Probably obviously not, except for like maybe the two random people in Japan who work for My Hero. That'd be cool. But it's like Todoroki got more screen time. We've been asking for that. Todoroki won a fight by himself. We've been asking for that. Heroes Rising was literally just Deku and Bakugo. Everyone else was fodder. This movie, everyone was trying to stop the apocalypse. Like everyone fought and did something of impact, which we've been asking for that. for the whole season, like after Heroes Rising. So seeing everyone do something and like their own why, and seeing how like each minor character is inspired by like the three major classmates. Like Uraraka saying Deku wouldn't quit. Red Rocket saying like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, this is we got to win because this is what you call Bakugo would say." Like seeing all the students fight like that, that was I was like, all right, everyone's doing something. And also the reason, maybe because, and there's a lot of other reasons, like the stakes in this movie were significantly higher than Heroes Rising. Like the first part of the movie, the dude wipes out. He basically nukes the whole town.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
he
that's
did.
when he started the movie like that. I'm like, oh, okay. So
Right.
that's for me. Like the stakes were like, all right, let's just be honest. If Heroes Rising, if Deku and Bakugo don't win, by time Endeavor, Hawks, and all of them would have showed up and they would have found a way to beat Nine. This
Yeah,
part,
for sure.
if they don't win, the whole world gets like it's literally the whole world gets nuked. I honestly think it's kind of weird because it's the next season. Like the Meta Liberation was only going to be focused in Japan. This was and
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, if they win, they take over Japan. All right, they're not going to be able to fight the rest of the world. This group, they were going to kill everyone, like every single person with
A
a
quirk.
quirk. So like the stakes were significantly like higher than Heroes Rising. And the fact too that I would say, and the guy's reasoning was bad, but the fact that there were probably some people who are quirkless who feel powerless, and like to
Mm-hmm.
gravitate towards that type of crazy leader, they're just like, well, I mean, if I'm quirkless, I'm worthless because 80% of the people and all that. And then I was just like, oh, I don't think you're worthless, but the society might do it. And I just also feel like this movie had so much callbacks to the entire series up until this point. Like you see
Mm.
Deku talking about all the friends who've helped him, and it shows from each season. It even showed Melissa from the movie, the kids from the second movie.
He
Uh,
dressed like this the younger boy in the second movie.
mm-hmm.
Like in his disguise, I noticed that right away and I thought that was adorable.
Or like small callbacks where like Deku sent a Morse code, and Todoroki's like, dude, your Morse code has not improved since like the stain thing. And that was
Right.
like season 2, and we're at 6 now. So it's like all those small callbacks and stuff really helped. And I guess also the story with Rhodey, the new guy who you'll see, just like as I mean, that was I think more impactful than the two kids, because like if he goes, there's no one there to protect his
His
kids
siblings.
and his
Right.
quirk. What I was telling Courtney when we saw it was just like they basically made him like, I don't want to say Family Dollar version, but his own. He was like a Yusuke Urameshi, like literally
Yes.
just because of the
Yes.
quirk too. I was like, oh, that's poof. Like, and that was one of
Oh
the
my god, yes.
yeah. And there was a point where when Courtney got like when he started fading, and she was like, oh my god, he's really gonna go. And it's just like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he got fleshed out from being a thief, meeting Midoriya hitting the talk no jutsu once again,
I
changing
know.
this dude, and it's like, and and his motivations is siblings, like how a lot of people can relate to that. I mean, the places we've worked, the teenage child is the parent of the house because the parents are doing whatever.
MIA. Yep.
So those were some aspects where I was just like, this is it's higher stakes. More people got screen time. More people were important because of one person. If Uraraka messed up touching the thing, everyone dies.
Mm-hmm.
And then the villain's plan was genius.
It
Like
was genius.
like that was like, oh no, this is the plan. We're gonna make them search for the things. And then if all the top heroes in the world die, there's gonna be no one left. So,
Yeah.
which
I don't know. I can't put my finger on what it was, but I was just more emotionally gripped by Heroes Rising, even though it was lesser stake. And I think a small part of that does have to deal with the backing music. I was more compelled during that movie for some reason. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's probably multiple reasons, but um that I feel like that's why I prefer Heroes Rising to this movie. But something else that I noticed kind of at the end of this movie, Deku doesn't really cry in this movie. He doesn't really have an emotional outburst other than kind of relief um, with Roddy toward the end.
No.
And I had to stop and think about it. I was like, when was the last time Deku was able to make it through like a situation like this and not cry? Not that that's a good.
Did he cry in Heroes Rising? I don't remember him crying in Heroes
Did
Rising.
he?
I don't think
I
so.
can't.
Because he left and he told the little dude, "You can be a hero," and that's how the movie ended.
No, but wasn't he crying when he, gave Bakugo?
Oh, that's because he All Might came and yeah, because All Might came was like, "Oh, I blah blah gave it away, yada 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 yada." Spoiler: he didn't. That's still a
Right.
plot hole,
Right.
um, but
But
no, I mean, but you saw the stuff of him like apologizing super quick with the briefcase
mhm.
switcheroo and like,
So he was, but he was still, he was still wholly himself, but without having to completely like, I guess, oversell it with tears. Because like, yeah, he did spaz with the whole briefcase thing in a very Deku-esque way. But it seemed like the crying that did happen because he did shed tears. It seemed a little bit more mature instead of like, I don't know. It just he seemed more mature to me, and I don't mean to equate maturity with not crying, but I don't know. Deku just seemed to carry himself a little bit different through this movie, and I really enjoyed seeing that.
well, I think the bird stole the show.
Oh, for sure. Any little cute, adorable character, especially like a comic relief type character, is gonna steal the show.
Yeah, as soon as that bird came up, Courtney's like, "Oh, that's gonna be your buddy." I was like, "Oh, here we go." That's I
I
mean,
mean,
I also
little Pino.
what I also really liked about this movie more than Heroes Rising is you whole. There's no way. Like, I need to know how far this is from like the end of season 5 because especially Bakugo and Midoriya and like they were showing new moves and so did Todoroki. I'm like, when did you learn how to do that? Like
I know.
Bakugo, like Midoriya has the air bullets.
Yep.
Now Bakugo can do it with his explosions. Like,
Yeah, that he's doing little fireball like bullets, like a machine gun out of nowhere.
and like,
Todoroki's doing the flash freeze stuff. We only saw him do that once before, and then he had like a little alternative version of that towards the very end. I can't remember what it was called. And yeah, and well, the other thing was for me, I'm like, Deku, when the heck did you start being able to use Black Whip so efficiently and for so long?
like he's
So
Spider
long.
Man.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Especially when they were running from the cops and oh my gosh, like
On the
like
bridge,
yeah,
yeah,
on the bridge. I was like,
100%.
what is happening? And like he was doing like the airs, like he was doing it with the feet now, and he was able to do Black Whip and shoot out of his gauntlet and punch and do the. I was like, and I was just like,
Yo,
where did
what?
all these improvements come from? Like Bakugo was doing stuff. He's like, and Bakugo once again proved how he's like a step ahead of everyone, especially when it came to like the crypting. He's like, oh, get out the way. When's the last timestamp? And I'm gonna map out the plays, find the bombs. I'm like, okay, okay.
Yeah, why does he literally have to be good at everything but still have a shit attitude? If I
There was one line where Courtney said that I would say it was when they were at the 3 in the rodeo on the plane. He was just like something about like just taking these bastards out. And Courtney's like, "Oh, you would say that." I was like, "I don't know if I'd
Oh
say taking
yeah.
these bastards. I think I would be more quiet and like getting focused, but like taking these bastards out, I don't know." What did you like the animation?
Oh, absolutely. It was flawless. And it was just done in a very, I don't know, I felt very at ease, which is kind of weird to say considering the stakes throughout the movie.
Yeah, just
Um,
nuclear warfare, basically. Like a whole town died.
yeah. But it just seemed like the theme overall was more light and cheery than, I don't mean to keep going back to Heroes Rising, but Heroes Rising, I felt like the um backdrop, it was all like darker. It was always cloudy. It was always stormy. But here, I mean, at one point, I was like, this movie makes me want to take a road trip.
Yeah, it was more. It was like that feel good, like especially after. I mean, it's weird because the first scene of the movie, a whole town literally gets nuked and they all die. Like
Yep.
besides like one person.
But one. Yeah.
That is as bad as you could start. And then you have like, oh, they're all here, and Deku meets him, and like it's all they're there having fun, having their bonding and all of that, and learning about each other and that jazz. And then, well, before that, obviously you see the news. Midoriya is wanted for mass murder, which by the way, that was wild. Like
that was
when you see the reason how he gets, and I don't want to be too framed, you're just like, holy shit. Like you're just like, oh my God, they have infiltrated everything.
Everything.
Like that was crazy. And also I almost had an issue with Todoroki because he was like, what did you really do? Like, bro, stop. Dude,
oh, I know that was uncalled for. I was like, Todoroki, you of all people, like what?
Bakugo didn't say a word because we knew he didn't believe it. Everyone's like, you never do that. This.
But Todoroki's like, no, tell me what you really did. It's like, Todoroki, what?
Yeah, that one I was a little confused. And like all of his friends standing up for him at their locations and all of that. Yeah. He's like, he would never do that. This, I know he wouldn't. They're like, oh, we'll handle it, blah, blah, blah. I was sitting there, I was like,
I am a little surprised that the like more veteran professional heroes, nobody made a peep to refute that. Like, not that it's just one of those things where they don't know him, and they might have known heroes or aspiring heroes that went astray. But I know it probably would have been irrelevant, but I feel like it would have been realistic for somebody at some venue to have like challenged them a little bit more.
Well, Endeavor did go. He went to the station and wanted all of the like files on why he was getting accused for murder. And they're like, it's a pending investigation. Wow. And I was like, oh, that's true. And then when they were dropping the you don't have jurisdiction here, I was like, oh, well, that's true too. Like, this is some real world stuff right now. But I guess the only heroes who would have been, I don't know if Endeavor was really trying to stand up for him, or he was trying to, like the dude said, you are his boss. Like he was trying to CYA himself. But the Dragon Lady, she could have obviously, but she's all the way across a different country because I mean they fought together with Overhaul. Obviously Eraserhead present, but Eraserhead was at home, which that was a bad move on Frontier.
Everybody's part, right?
Present Mike could have, Orca, Shark could have, but they were all in different spots. Like All Might was there, and he was like, "Oh, he'd never do that," but it is what that is too. But that was crazy.
I'm also just saying since there were some like other international heroes that they didn't say anything that maybe he could have done it. Like there was no argument from people who don't know him that he might have done something that there might be some misunderstanding, but he's still at fault somehow. Like I felt like those international conversations seemed to like once the kids were like, oh, we know him, there's no way. That's where it was. Like I feel like it would have been more realistic if one or two of the veteran pro heroes that doesn't know him would have been like, are you sure? Like, how know that? I don't want to say it's not uncommon because I don't know, but like, I just feel like it would have been more realistic that way. But then again, it doesn't change anything with how the story unfolds. So it really doesn't matter.
If this movie would have got an extra like 30 minutes, I feel like if they would have infiltrated the UN, like the group, and they would be like, yeah, the priority is the bombs, but we have to catch Midoriya at all costs, use lethal force. That would have been a turning point.
Yeah.
But I feel like they wanted to like make it under 2 hours because in the trailers, I really thought like everyone was like the way they were showing, everyone was going to turn on Midoriya and only Bakugo and Todoroki would believe him. But it looks like his friends all believed him, but they were all scattered. And it's like, yeah, we love you, Midoriya, but if we don't stop these bombs, literally everyone dies. So we can't come and like defend your honor, which it makes sense. What'd you think of the action?
I thought it was good. Well, like we already mentioned that there were quite a few new moves. On the new move front that we haven't talked about, my other favorite character, Momo, we see her actually getting a little bit of hand to hand, and she's using, is it is it a pipe? Like a long.
She was using a pipe, like a bow
And then
stick.
we also saw her use a sword at one point. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure she pulled out a sword, and I was like, it was
Mhm.
very brief. It was extremely brief, but at least for me, that signals that she's had to have some sort of training with the sword. She's practiced a little bit with like longer baton or rod like
Mhm.
weapons to defend herself. Oh, and that made me so happy. I really hope they bring that out some more
And that
in
wasn't just
season
a
6.
movie. And that wasn't just a movie thing.
Right.
Or if she makes it out of season 6.
Shh, don't say that.
I'm just saying, like
Don't
we're
say
gonna
that.
sooner or later we're gonna have to
Don't put
start
that
thinking
out in the
about
universe.
that.
Don't put that out in the universe. We're not jinxing that. Momo is gonna be fine. Gonna be fine.
Okay. I mean, some of them are gonna go, but no, that was good. That
Netta
was good
can
on
go.
Minetta actually does. Speaking of Minetta, which it was funny when she was like, next, she was like, "It's your guy." I was like, yeah. People don't like him. It's like, I was like, well, because because he's a pervert. I just looked. I was like, oh, and she's like, I mean, I pay attention. Like, so that was funny. But I was like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm just gonna say right now, which I didn't want to say, it's Ida's done.
I
Like
know.
Ida's done. Like Minetta was out there on a nuclear mission.
And Ida was sitting on the couch.
That's bad. That's bad. Like when I saw him at like those people at home and the people like there's people down there, they're like, oh well, you know who's like the former like the season 1, 2.5 best friend. Now it's just at home. I'm like, y'all couldn't use his speed to like run, get a new.
Well, it was all the people that were assigned a work study, and I think it kind of depended on like if those work study heroes got asked to do this mission. Of course, Endeavor's
Mhm.
agency got asked, so I think it might have been that either they were with, can't remember if they were with work studies or they didn't get picked for work studies, but it very well could have been that their work study heroes or agency didn't get called up for this mission because you couldn't put every single possible hero on the planet on this mission. You can't
Well,
do that.
they put the most powerful, and that was the plan. That was the bad guy's plan. Like he knew the UN, Hero UN, was going to do it. They're all going to be at one spot, kill them all. Then the rest of the heroes who are left are going to be worthless and they're going to get smoked. So I was just sitting there. I was like, Manetta's out here doing work. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. But I do think, I mean, the last like sequence of the final fight was freaking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just, I don't want to be like spoiler wise, but I don't know how the hell he unlocked like the mode he was in when he fought Overhaul.
Right.
Like
You
the
just saw the eyes and you're like, wait, what?
like the when they gave him the like in Heroes Rising, like I was able to watch that movie, like, all right. But like when he unlocked that part, I had to sit up in the theater. I was like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. What is this unlock? Like what like this you see the veins of One for All powering up. You see the I'm like, man, where the freak are the One for All like the balls going? And then like he just goes overhaul mode. I'm like,
He goes berserk. He literally goes berserk.
and I'm like, is this like a final form thing that we've been saving? Like, is this new? Like, if we could just tap into this for a couple seconds, like, hold on now. Like, that was sweet. And that was good.
That I will say I actually audibly laughed in the movie during the point where he's just kind of like squat stancing and just punching the air.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I they just showed him doing that just for like a second or two too long that I thought it was hilarious because like if you would have stripped if you strip the sound, take out the context, it just looks funny.
It does, but like the fact that he's doing that, and then you see like after images of him, and then you see like 10 billion fists, and you're just like,
oh hell.
Like I will say, like when they get to their big final fights of stuff, My Hero does deliver. Like I don't think there's been any.
Oh, for sure. No, they never.
And another callback too is when Midoriya punched the villain at the like beginning, and like you see like his muscles like ripping up.
Yep.
It reminded me of when Midoriya punched Muscular when he used 1,000,000%. I was like, look at these callbacks. But I think that stuff was pretty crazy. And also, besides them, I think Bakugo had the best fight. Like,
Yes, yes. Although I will say, again, spoilers, sorry, but he kind of gets two fatal shots towards the beginning of that fight. He had no business fighting the way he kept doing. And then again, after they took that that power up
mm,
drug stuff for their quirks, like he had no business. And then you never see those entry wounds. Like those definitely should have been a fatal.
well, think about if you're a kid. If you're a kid watching, so if you're a kid watching, you're not reading. Like, you just have to think about it. Like when you were a kid watching anime, like a young kid, you weren't reading mangas, you weren't looking up spoilers, you weren't keeping up. Like, oh, this is happening. Like if you're a 7, 8 year old kid, you thought Bakugo was about to die. Like if you didn't know any, like if you haven't watched, this is your first, like, oh my god, he's gonna die because he got like you thought Rocky was. I mean, like there's times where you really thought people were gonna die. Like if you didn't know, like if you compare to like a Marvel movie, oh, they're not gonna die because they already signed on for like 3 other movies. But it's like
Right.
Bakugo was in like, and there was a shot where like his face was all bloody on that eye. And he
Yeah,
was just like, all right, I'm tired of this. No more holding back. We're gonna start killing fine. Like he can eat like that was wild.
it was. It was. It I am just waiting for the day that Deku can fight a major villain and not fuck up both of his arms.
Well,
That is the day I'm fighting for. I'm waiting for.
the dude
Because
had
we were so close. So close. And then at the end, we just went all hell. Both arms, fuck it.
well, the dude had lasers in the, like the fact that he can reflect the lasers and you're in like that, that's, yeah, he's something to behold. But like I honestly felt like it, I don't know. Like I almost thought like, if you switch Todoroki and Bakugo, maybe they would have had, I don't know, because like Todoroki could fire one, ice one, but then I was just like, I don't know if it would have been better if they would have switched opponents, like easier for the heroes.
I honestly I hadn't thought about it, but I agree with you that I think they would have, only because at least with Todoroki's ice could have helped to contain the blades. However, Todoroki is not as fast as Bakugo
Yeah.
or as agile. However, I will say his ice control in this movie was far better than we had seen so far. Being able to just, oh my god, it was great.
Yeah. I mean, he got time, which we were begging for the entire, once we found out this movie was coming out, we were begging for time because the dude was becoming literally an afterthought.
Yeah, he
So
was.
that my thing too, which would have made this super crazy, again, I know time constraints if they had more time, is if the villains helped. Because dude, if this bomb goes
Right.
off, you guys are dying too. Like,
I also want to know what was in the Kool-Aid that he had these people with amazing quirks just
oh
off
yeah,
themselves.
there
Like,
there was, it was something else. And like the doomsday quirk theory, which I mean, my hero takes a lot of stuff from like Western comics. For those who do listen to Western comics, there's the Superman theory where, long story short, countries around, ever since Superman showed up, all these heroes showed up. Sure.
right.
And like people were thinking that the government is assigning people hero and villain roles, having them fight so that they're both prepared to be like an army if they had to go against like another country. More complex than that. So like this doomsday quirk theory is like, hey, these people are gonna make us
Keep
slave.
having children.
Keep having children, and we're gonna be the only, like, we're gonna be obsolete and stuff like that. And even the dude to Midori, who's just like, yeah, I really didn't think heroes were actually heroes. Like we're like, they do it for their payday. There's no money here, so no one saves us. And I was like, again, another My Hero callback. What was Stain's main beef when most heroes, they weren't real heroes. They were doing it for the money, doing it for the fame. The only one who wasn't doing it for any of that was All Might.
Was
and
All
now
Might.
it's become Midoriya. So like those type of callbacks really made me
Yeah.
like the movie in itself. And I know we already talked about the movie. and like favorite parts and stuff. And then like with the comparison to the last anime movie, I mean to Mugen Train, I do agree with you. I don't think it was better than Mugen Train. I do think this movie was really good, but I also think Mugen Train had a lot more time because Mugen
Yeah.
Train was literally an entire season of Demon Slayer. Like, so they had to do as much as they could with that because they knocked off a whole season of Demon Slayer in a two whatever hour movie. This movie
Hmm.
is not like a season of My Hero. It's a part in My Hero, but it's not like a season. And we just finished season 5 and we're getting season 6 in 2022. So, but I do appreciate how My Hero hasn't been around. It's been around for a couple years. It's already produced 3 movies, and none of the
Yeah.
movies are bad.
No, by no means are any of these three movies bad. Um, and yeah, I just think Mugen Train kind of took us all for a ride, haha, pun intended. But like, it also just came at us in a way that I at least wasn't expecting. So that kind of just, bolsters for me personally my score and ranking of that movie. So when I went in to watch this, I knew it was going to be hard for it to top Mugen Train for me personally. But yeah, it is a really really good movie. I just Mugen Train topped it for me, and I don't know, sentimentality, I guess, for whatever reason. Heroes Rising is also my personal favorite of the three.
I think out of the 3, I think this one will just because it's higher stakes and like I like that there's actually like consequences for if they do fail. Like
Mm,
because in Heroes Rising, no one really got. I mean, the dad of the kids got hurt, but no one died except for Nine at the end. I mean, again, the first scene, everyone dies, like a whole city.
right,
And my thing
right,
is too, like, who the hell, like, how smart are these scientists that they can make quirk nuclear type bombs?
right,
Like now it's like just throwing it out there. Would you rather want to deal with those bombs or overhaul gunshots that take your quirk? Would you rather want your quirk taken away? Oh, you got a quirk? We're gonna force it out of you,
and it's
and
gonna
you
then
die.
implode. Yeah, and you die. Yep.
My thing is though, with another thing of we've talked about, I kind of wanted a little hint of the bomb to hit Midoriya to really like to see if a quirk would have
See what
activated
his
in him.
late Yes, his
So that we would
latent
have seen
quirk.
if the Dr. Egghead Baker would have
Yes,
like just a little glimpse to see if that's what I
yes,
was.
I know.
But
That
I
was Oh, I had that thought too. I honestly, when it was happening, I wondered if basically I didn't think about like maybe getting a little whiff, but my thought was like if this would have happened when he was a kid and he would have been exposed, if his quirk would have actually come out. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I understood that bomb also was for people who didn't necessarily have quirks, but who could pass down a quirk,
yeah, if you had like a
would also
recessive,
set it off, right? Would
you
also
had a
set it off as
recessive.
well. So, I mean, we know Midoriya would have, even if he was truly born quirkless completely, both of his parents have quirks. So something would have popped off inside of him that would have been passed on to his kids, assuming he had kids. But this is, also alternative universe situation, since in this scenario, it would have been before he got all all for one.
Mhm.
One for all.
One for
Whoops.
all.
One for all.
That's what I was thinking. I was just like, man, if we like, oh man, that would have been crazy. But there's just so many characters too, man, that their powers were just like, huh, like where have you been? Like I really liked the Green Arrow girl. She was amazing.
Even though I hated that she was a villain. That was such a bomb quirk. Oh my god. I will also say, one of the new heroes introduced, Clairvoyant. Her first name is Claire, and her quirk is Voyant. I love that. I loved that. I it was perfect for me. It was perfectly funny and fitting. I loved it.
I have
But
so much real world My Hero questions. Like obviously, nuclear bombs about to kill everyone. That's a world level threat. But what is considered a world level threat where you get all the heroes in the world? Like, I want to know that now. Like, is All for One not a world level threat? He's been around for thousands of years. Like, I am so intrigued. I'm like, so what? Who sigs the signal out there? Like, this is a world level threat. Everyone has to come in. Like, right. I'm so intrigued by this new agency that they just threw in. And it's like, and the commander dude was telling, all right, engage. We pick you guys. I'm like, who the hell are you? Like, what authority do you right? Are you the president of heroes like right now? Like, is it your term? Like, I just want to know what's a world level threat that they call it. What's a regional level threat that you could call someone? Because All for One was really running amok. And they're like, we're just going to leave it to Japan. That's not a world level threat.
Yeah, right. And my other question is, since you bring that up, is like, all right, well, the Meta Liberation Army, is that going to be limited to only the heroes of Japan that have to deal with that shit? Or can they call on, they mentioned Singapore in this movie. They mentioned Egypt. They went to France. They went to the US. Like, are we calling everybody in for that? Because then that, message could spread throughout the rest of the world. Or is that message already out to the rest of the world and they have to deal with it on their own fronts as well?
Yeah, I need to know like the official name of that UN thing. I don't have the book with me. I know that you.
I have it with me, but I didn't see it named. Maybe I wasn't skimming, but maybe I missed that part.
Is it just like the World Hero Association? Oh well, I guess it is just really the world. No, pro heroes. No, it ain't no pro heroes. Like, I just want to know because that was crazy.
I don't know. It just hero. I like how inside the book they list all the arcs, all the different arcs we've been through.
That's really good. Like, if you're just like, hey, here you go.
This is all the stuff you've missed. Just little snapshots of everything, the names of the arcs. And then you get into the designs, the quirks, the explanations for the quirks.
Yeah, like that was super cool. Like, it's like there's just so much new stuff and like so many new heroes. Like, even the villain that she was fighting like on her team, when he shot the like, use these, and he shot like those black balls.
Yeah.
Like that, I was like, what is happening right now? And the fact that, man, talk about leadership. My concern is going forward, the dude's still alive.
Yeah, because they were all arrested. Mm-hmm. The ones that were left were arrested. So honestly, if All for One busts out, he's busting him out too. Well, maybe not, because he would then try to kill. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe it's fine. But maybe they won't be buddies.
All for One might think. I don't know.
Oh, he might steal his quirk though,
and that'd be problematic. Because that quirk is something. Because that quirk would be amplified with his All for One.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if Midoriya is not, if you're not the main character or like All Might, I don't know if you're like, I don't know if Endeavor is beating that dude. Because like, in all honesty, even though Endeavor is stronger than Midoriya, it's just like you're not the main character and you don't have one for all.
Yep. Done.
And and the dude just kept pushing and pushing. I was like, man, Midoriya is really going right now. My thing is now, just throwing this out, could World Hero Mission version of Midoriya and Bakugo beat 9 without the transfer? That's a question. You think so? Okay.
I think so. As they are now, yeah, I think so. Without having to both.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. It would still be a tooth and nail battle, but I think so.
Could World Hero Mission Todoroki beat that one dude by himself? Now
the Chimera.
Mm-hmm.
He's my man, so I wish I could say yes, but I feel like that answer is still going to be no, only because he needs help in getting close and somebody else to distract for that particular villain, that Chimera. Also, I will say, the villain that he one-on-ones with, I was just like, why does Todoroki have to get the big ones?
Yeah, no, I agree. But Shoot, Andrea, anything else on this movie before like don't want to go too spoilery for the people, but I definitely would recommend any My Hero or anime fan to go check it out.
For sure. Okay, so I just want to say that I did enjoy this movie absolutely because I feel like I sound like I came off that I didn't enjoy it. I definitely did. And I would very much recommend people go watch it even if you haven't seen season 5 because the person I saw it with had not seen season 5 yet. I didn't know that till after the movie.
Hold on, where was Shinsho? Where were the rest of Class
Oh my
1B?
god.
Because I
Okay, no,
saw
no, no.
one girl, I saw a couple from 1B, but where was
Oh yeah.
Shinsho?
He was probably with Aizawa. Come on. They're attached at the hip.
Yeah, but they could have used both their. That was a bad. The world's at stake, and we're making bad decisions. I already know some of them. Some of them are going to die next season because if we're making terrible decisions when the world's at stake, I can only imagine the terrible decisions we're going to make when just
Japan.
Japan's at stake.
I mean, I think the only argument though is that Aizawa needs to stay with Eri, and Eri can't be relied upon in those situations
Honestly,
because
you
he
should have
needs to
brought.
be able.
The world's about to end. You should have thrown everything. They threw like 90%. That was the plan for the villains, just throw everything, and they threw 90. Like I would have just, man, I would have called the villains. I would have made a truce for just this one time because if we die,
One time for the one time.
you're
Yep.
dying too. So if you die, who are you? Who are we gonna? That type of shit. But I don't know. But yeah, it was. We'll go ahead. Any other things?
Uh no, I hope it does well. I hope,
I think so. I think it's already made 29 million.
yeah. When there is a fourth movie, because I'm pretty sure there will be, I hope it is at the same level as the rest of the movies because I do feel like the more movies an anime makes, the higher the likelihood of a dud there's going to be. And I really hope My Hero doesn't end up with any because they've been so good so far.
Oh, I forgot that the terrorist organization Humorize,
Yes, humorize.
which they're going to
Yeah.
humanize.
Basically their whole thing is that if we wipe out everybody with quirks and has the potential to pass down quirks, that means we're reverting back to just normal humans. And so even the idea was that even the quirk havers, who are referred to as being stick, are supposed to only use their quirks in service of saving humanity. Humanity only being those without quirks. Um, so eventually they were all gonna either commit mass suicide or make a pact of celibacy that they don't have children. I don't quite understand how that was gonna go down the line because that does not work.
Yeah, I mean, and also with the stuff, because again, they take a lot from Western comics. Like it was so the taking everyone out with quirks, taking everyone out with the mutant gene. It's the same people from the X-Men who want to kill all the mutants because they think mutants are bad, they're not good. They're just gonna wipe them all out. It's the same thing. And
Yeah,
I
it is.
mean, Midoriya is the Japanese like equivalent to their of a younger version of Peter Parker. I mean, that's
Yeah.
exactly the optimism, like all that stuff. He's a Peter Parker, and the like creators even compared them and such, and he's done drawings. So it's just like, all right, mutant gene, everyone's got to go. Obviously, we know that's not true. Um, Quirks, you guys are all bad. You're terrible for the world. Everyone relies on you guys. You've taken over. You guys got to go. You're going to get followers like that because normal people is just like, yeah, I mean, I'm not getting any job because I don't have a quirk or this or that. So time to go.
And the other thing was the whole thing about mixing quirks, they're evolving and then eventually will be too strong that no one will be able to control them anymore. So it was also an issue of what if, which was also brought up that Midoriya is talking to the main villain, like, how could you do all this? How could you do all this on something that isn't even certain? Like, there has been research on this and it's not conclusive. Like, we don't know this is going to happen.
Well,
And so
you should have
for
said it. You're
me,
saying there's a chance.
See, that's the other thing. And that was the other thing that I thought was like the way he said it, or maybe the way it was translated in English. I did watch it subbed, but
I watched
it
it
seemed
dubbed.
like, oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, well,
So when he like made that point about you don't even know if this is actually going to happen, made me think it was like, okay, Midoriya, so then what if this was a scientific certainty that this was going to happen? Not would you switch sides, but how would you guys approach this? Because then real world application in my head, I start thinking, okay, are they going to come up with a vaccine like an X-Men to like erase quirks? Or are they going to have like quirk suppressant medicine? Like how would they go about it? Because obviously heroes aren't going to get on board, even if there was if the doomsday theory is 100% true, they're not going to go around killing everybody with quirks. Like that's just no. So I was wondering what they would do with that if it was going to be a certainty.
yeah. I it's whew, that's something else because it's like now with all these things, I'm just thinking of like the finale of My Hero, whatever the series finale is, like the name. If it's still Shigaraki or All for One, they have the bullets, they have the nukes. Whoever the next bad guy is has a. We're
How do you
probably
top nukes? How do you top nukes?
honestly, with the way these movies are, I'm not saying they're the same. These have been really good movies, but I think the next My Hero movie, they might have to go to space.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. My next thought was going to be drop the moon on him.
I mean, if they're shooting rockets from like, if a shout out to Naruto, like some Osiki clan just comes and starts
Right.
blowing stuff up from space, like, oh, also, me personally, now I want to know. I want to know the name of the first baby with the quirk.
Right, the shining baby.
Mhm.
Right. The way they had that statue of him makes like I almost wondered if Lectern was actually related to him because like if you guys hate the first metahuman, the first quirk wielding human, why do you guys have a giant statue of him? Why
My
has it not been defaced? Why has it not been destroyed? Like it looks like y'all are worshiping him when actually your whole ideology is to bring him down.
I personally think maybe because I'm comparing it to a demon slayer, I think Midoriya is a descendant of the first quirk person. I'm already going to go that route.
Okay. Okay.
Since from the young people of the new era, spoiler alert, Tanjiro is a descendant of the very first sun breather, like of the first breathing
The only
stand,
sun breather,
the
yeah.
only one. We already know who Boruto's a descendant of, so we don't have to cross that route. We already know who his dad, grandfather, God. We already know all that stuff. So there's that. So it's like, sure, he inherited this stuff from All Might. We're still waiting for the big reveal of like his father showing up. And like, It's like, oh, your stuff is suppressed because you're the X-team descendant of the very first baby. And we had to suppress it because yada, yada, yada. You could oppose the threat. But I don't know. Andrea, anything else before we close on this one?
I don't think so. I am good.
I will close on what we are going to be doing with My Hero until season 6 comes. And this was Andrea's idea, so kudos to her. So we are going to
and
be
don't hate me, y'all.
I don't think they'll hate you, but we are going to be doing, I think, until the season 6 comes, so like once a month or whatever, however much we said, doing a not like a case and now just a very pondering My Hero question. If you guys listen to like the Todoroki like family stuff, hopefully not as well, some maybe as morbid as that, but like more serious using like real world applications, thinking like that. And Andrea has come up with the first one that we actually will record this week. I think, or yeah, this week, something
Yeah,
like
this
that.
coming week.
Yeah, this coming week. And Andrea, do you want to tell them what it is?
So we're going to be talking about, and this is why I said don't hate me, is we're going to be talking about some negative kind of aspects of All Might kind of presentation and how he was a symbol, how he decided to kind of be more than just a hero, more than a human, and how that can negatively impact heroes following in his footsteps. Um, because there are just some unrealistic expectations, as we know, just in real life, that putting anyone on a pedestal, making anyone a symbol for anything, can do.
Can't wait to already started doing some notes. And honestly, I'm glad I watched this movie the day it came out because I think this movie has some implications on the negative stuff of All Might. So yeah, can't wait. But with that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. Make sure you go check out World Heroes Mission. It was great. Next anime movie is December.
Is it the Jujutsu Kaisen?
Mm-hmm. And then the next one after that, that's already been no release date, but 2022 will be the Dragon Ball movie. So we will see how all those go. And with that being said, take care. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.